There's been a debate on how one should start a system. Should we start with the data or should we start with the process? When I started to work with software a long time ago, I learned SQL with a database modeling book. And there was an important message in that book that I never forgot. The system must always start with the data. The system must always start with the data. What that means? Along the years and along my professional experiences, debates, and so on, I realized that there's an opponent trend in software development. That trend is what we know today as API first. The API first is not the first attempt to start a system with thought instead of data. There was a previous version of this type of process, which we know as TDD, Test-Driven Development. The test-driven development was that first attempt to use thought instead of data to start the system. The person says, we must start with the test will fail, you go refactoring, and then sooner or later the thing will work. The problem with that approach is that you are using thought instead of reality to build this system. But why do I say that use TDD or use API first is use thought instead of reality? When we abstract something, we do it in two ways. Or we use the empirical way, which is the fact. What is a fact? What fact is what can be captured through the senses. The fact is the information that comes from outside the mind into the mind, and then it is abstracted. You go from the particular to the general. That is the opposite process of the rationalism. The rationalists say that the senses can misguide you and only the mind can detect reality. That is, the rationalists say that you gotta use thought to detect reality, and later you go to the field to find your reality. Model first is an empirical way of doing software development, and TDD, API first, are rationalists' way of develop software. That means when you don't use data as the basis and foundation, you are not using reality. And when you do not use reality to build your system and you use thought, you will start with a series of gambles that you will have to fix along the way to adjust to reality. In the series, I'll be showing you how to build a model first development process using my stack, which is Angular, Spring Boot, and AWS. Please follow the articles in the series to take a look on how to do a model first system.